I recently had the opportunity to sail on board the MSC Seashore, their brand new ship, out of Miami. I wanted to take a look at the experience, share what I learned with you, and answer a question I get fairly frequently. Does MSC suck? All right, everybody, let's talk about MSC. Let's talk about the MSC Seashore. Let's talk about MSC overall. Let's get right into it, shall we? Now, a few years ago, when MSC came out, the travel advisor community, we were excited to learn anything we could about this new cruise line so we could advise our clients. The reviews came in from folks who had tried the cruise line were mixed, and the first few years of the cruise line's existence. MSC stands for Mediterranean Shipping Corporation, and they have their roots in industrial shipping, freighters and transporting goods from port to port. They recently got into the cruise business. I say recently, it was back in 1998 that they started, and they did cruises over in Europe for many, many years. Then they brought some ships over to market to Americans and let us have a go at their product. The complaints that we heard initially were complaints that we heard a lot were issues with onboard announcements being held in multiple languages that would go on and on and on for a very long time. Initial feedback was that there wasn't a whole lot to do on board. Entertainment was scarce, and customer satisfaction, customer service was kind of lax. So for a long time, as the cruise line was getting its sea legs, so to speak, for Americans anyway, we kind of pushed our clients or advised our clients maybe they'd be happier elsewhere. And that was the case for a while. And recently, MSC has, despite that, continued to grow, continued to bring new ships into the scene, and continued to innovate. They've got a huge budget that they can work with. They're a gigantic company with their freighter side, so they've got all kinds of investment that they have been able to pour into the cruise line, and it's really starting to show that they can provide a good product that can compete with any of the other mass market lines, Carnival, Royal Caribbean, etc., for a general cruising population. And I think they've done a pretty good job of that. There are still some hiccups. There are still some of the some complaints to be had here and there relating to service, relating to problems working with the shoreside folks as well as the people on the ship when it comes to getting things handled on board, any kind of problems. But I can't really complain about the experience I had on the MSC Seashore last month. I really enjoyed the cruise. Now, it was just a one-day preview cruise, so I certainly didn't get a chance to explore their private island or actually go anywhere, and barely had enough time to figure out my way around the ship. So there are lots of things that I missed. Also, because of weather, I didn't do anything much out on the top deck, and ended up staying inside for most of the time. But there were some things that I think I'll highlight maybe you might want to know about before you book an MSC cruise on this ship. So let's get into it. The first impression I got was, wow, this is a really beautiful ship. You walk, as you board, you walk into the atrium and you see this several story tall giant equalizer board with a DJ in front of it and all kinds of lights and graphics and things being shown on that, and music playing, and everybody was upbeat. It was a really great first impression of the ship. So I thought that was great. I knew I was going to be in for a fun time with a bunch of travel agents who, if you've ever hung out with travel agents, we can be a fun bunch. We like to party. We work hard and we stress out a lot over our clients' trips. So when we party hard, you know, it's a good time. I didn't see anything terribly innovative about the rooms. They looked like any other cruise ship room I had been on a modern ship. Good sized bed, little table, flat screen TV, all the standard amenities you've come to know. Good sized balcony, and everything seemed to be working fine and looking really, really nice. So I have no complaints about that. The one thing I did think was a little bit interesting was a floor to ceiling mirror right on the opposite side of the bed. While you're laying in the bed, you're looking forward and you're looking at yourself in the mirror. The only thing I could think of is this would be great if I knew anybody that made some OnlyFans videos, you know. Anyway, after my getting into the room, checking out myself in the mirror for a little bit, I went and made my way to try and find something to eat. I was starving by that time, and I didn't realize that they weren't doing a regular lunch, or if they were, I had a hard time figuring out where that was. I wandered around and looked at the map of the ship until I found something that looked like it was going to be a restaurant that served food, and I made my way there. And where I ended up is the deck with all the specialty restaurants, and they were doing a tasting menu with small plates, hors d'oeuvre sized samples of their cuisine, so you could go around and get little snack sized bites of different food. In this area was the first time I saw something that I really thought was innovative, something that I had never seen before, but it's been since pointed out to me. It's very popular all across Asia. Well, never been to Asia, so I didn't know this. But they had a sushi conveyor belt, which I thought was the coolest thing ever. And I think a lot of people would really enjoy just going and seeing this thing and experiencing the setup here. I don't eat sushi. I'm not a seafood guy at all. However, I did get to try something unique and different on my trip, like I always try and do. Try something new while you're traveling. That's the best way to learn about new cultures and new experiences. I got to try octopus for the very first time, and I decided I was starving by then because I was all having little tiny bits of food through the restaurants, the steakhouse, the Chinese restaurant, I should say Japanese, the Japanese teppanyaki, the seafood restaurant, and I skipped the sushi place. But I ended up in the seafood restaurant, and they had very nice presentation, what I think was the nicest presentation of all the tasting places and all the specialty dining restaurants. And like I said, I don't normally do seafood, but I was hungry. So I had a shrimp tartare, I had a seared tuna, and then this octopus. And I've since learned maybe octopus isn't the best thing in the world to eat, aren't the best thing in the world to eat. Apparently they're intelligent, and you maybe shouldn't eat so many of them. But I thought I'd try it. It was already dead, so, you know, I ate it. Well, after the tasting experience and all the specialty restaurants, I made my way to the theater, which I thought was a very nice looking theater. I happened to notice that the color scheme of the theater was exactly the same color scheme as AMS Travel Sales, my little business that I run, with the burgundy and the gray. And I'm like, wow, this is the AMS Travel Sales Theater. Let's sponsor this. One thing I noticed about the overall style and decor is a very modern style. Some places that are mid-century modern type decor. That's something I really like. I have some there's that right there is such a thing. So that appealed to me. I really enjoyed the style of the different public areas that they had. But one thing that I thought was odd is that there were so many fake plants all over the ship, in the dining room, out in the atrium area, just all over. And I got to thinking about, I know how hard it is to keep that little fake plant clean and not dusty. I can't imagine having to deal with all these thousands of fake plants that are all over the place. There's even a wall of fake plants. I mean, they look great, but they're fake plants. Come on. That seems like kind of cheating a little bit there. I made my way to the arcade because I'm a big video game fan. I love playing Galaga. I love the old classic retro style video games. And I was impressed with the size and scope of the arcade. It reminded me a lot of Disney Quest, but they had a Formula One racer, which it took me a while to figure out what it was, what I was actually looking at. And until I saw the sign, I didn't even understand it because it doesn't have the wheels. It's just the shell of the Formula One car. And without the wheels and the spoiler and whatnot, it doesn't really look like a Formula One car. I didn't know what it was. And they had a raft that looks like fun, a whitewater rafting experience, a virtual reality thing that looked fun. I didn't try any of them. Some of the other agents that I spoke to did and enjoyed them. So something to think about. But one thing I noticed of all the games and all the different things they had going on, there were no name brand games that I was familiar. It was cold outside. It was raining, even in Miami. So I didn't get out on deck very much, but I did spend some time braving the wind and rain to try and get some footage of the Pirates Cove. This is the kids area up on deck, a water park area. It was well done. I'm curious how it's going to age. The way the painting is, a lot of it is all airbrushed and whatnot. It looked really good, and it looks like the kids would have a lot of fun here. But I'm curious how well it's going to hold up over time with the kids playing and roughhousing all over it. Like the arcade, the casino seemed to be pretty standard fare. Slot machines, game tables, very similar. Of course, all brand new and nice and shiny and great. And there's a bar there in the middle, just like it's a casino. You know, you lose your money. That's what happens to me. One of the challenges I had on board, a couple of them, was it seemed like the staff weren't really into being, it was almost like a day off for them is what the impression I got. I saw a number of the wait staff and whatnot kind of roughhousing in the aisles and generally joking around. And you know what, I'm a human being. If I was a cruise staff member, I'd play around and goof off too, but not when there's guests around. It just seemed pretty unusual. I've never seen what appeared to me to be a lack of professionalism on a ship. Now, who am I to talk about professionalism? I just mentioned OnlyFans in my official cruise review, but it was just an off-putting experience, which reminds me, there were some other things I didn't care for. One was the Wi-Fi. I had a really hard time getting the Wi-Fi to work and the app to work and all the technology on board, and everyone was struggling on board trying to get their Wi-Fi to work. And so that's something I've heard many times in reading reviews on MSC as well, that the technology just isn't quite up to snuff for the onboard experience. And so many of the cruise lines are going to app-based interfaces for guests, and if it doesn't work, that's a problem. So that's something you may want to be aware of. You may have some challenges getting through on the Wi-Fi. Also, some of the food was hit or miss. I really enjoyed what I had in the main dining room. I enjoyed my octopus. I enjoyed my teppanyaki and my steak that I had in the steak specialty dining room. But the taco place, which was the big draw for me, because I love tacos, and obviously I love tacos, and who doesn't love tacos? But when I got to the taco specialty dining, the Mexican specialty dining, I should say, I was unimpressed. The only thing I got there that I liked was the rice pudding and that dessert. I don't remember what it was called, but it had a little tiny spoon. It was so cute. I love the spoon. I didn't take it because I'm a good person, but I wanted to. I wanted to take the spoon. That was disappointing. The nachos, which is a related, food item to tacos, were stale. I'm like, how do you mess up nachos? MSC, for real. How do you mess up nachos? And I met some friends there, ladies who were from Key West and whatnot, and we became friends on the cruise, which was fun. And we all sat together. We ordered nachos in the sports bar, which was a great venue. And we were all disappointed. We're like, these are horrible. And they kind of were. And also in that same venue, I ordered a cheeseburger, and I don't know what I got, but it wasn't a cheeseburger. It had the shape of a cheeseburger, but not the taste, and the bun was stale, and I was really disappointed in that. I'm like, wow, this is your chance to show off your ship and your product to us, the travel industry, and you can't do a cheeseburger or nachos. That was a little disappointing. I didn't eat my cheeseburger, and I've never in my life not eaten a cheeseburger that was in front of me. So the food was hit or miss. The technology was iffy. Some of the crew seemed to be a little bit lackadaisical. Masking guidelines weren't really being enforced. That was surprising. There was a big party the night of the cruise, and there was dancers down in the atrium and whatnot, and that was a lot of fun. The dancers were really high energy and entertained and interacted with the crowd, and that was a blast. The last thing I want to mention is the entertainment. Speaking of the dancing and whatnot, the main theater show that I saw, I was very disappointed in. It was a Broadway review type show with singers and dancers. You've seen a show like it on numerous cruises, I'm sure. A medley of anthology maybe of different songs, all based around a theme, and the theme was America and the pride that we have as Americans in our country, and it just felt forced. I came away thinking that this was something that was created by someone who's not an American, trying to portray what it's like to be an American. And it just didn't work. The costumes were fine, they were a little over the top, but the way they blended the songs together and the dancing and whatnot just didn't work for me. It felt artificial. I guess the biggest example of it I could think of is they had a Wild West part to the show, and Wild West scene, and they played Hotel California. And I don't know about you, but I've never associated the song Hotel California with the West and Wild West. It just didn't make sense to me. And to me, that's someone who doesn't really understand American culture, and it just fell flat. And I'm not the only one that thought that. I noticed that the Points guys had the same thought. And I had it first, I just didn't make my video yet. So that's what I think of MSC. Does it suck? I don't think it sucks. The ship was gorgeous. Overall, the experience would be fine. They've just got some things that takes some preparation, and if you know what you're getting into, you're gonna be fine. You'll have a good time. It's the same thing with Carnival. If you know what you're getting into when you book a Carnival cruise, you're gonna have a good time. You know there's gonna be parties. You know the dancers are gonna be wearing skimpy outfits. Oh, and that's something that shocked me as well. So did the dancers on MSC. They also had that thong kind of outfit on the costume. So they showed a little bit more skin than you may be used to on Royal Caribbean or the other lines. So just be aware of that, I guess. Well, there it is. Thanks for joining me today as we took a look at the beautiful MSC Seashore. What do you think? Does MSC suck? Let me know in the comments below. Tell me what you think about this cruise line that's making waves all across the world. Hey, if you like what you saw today, be sure and subscribe. We've got travel news, digests every day. We've got ship reviews when they come out, travel vlogs when we have an opportunity to go somewhere, and who knows what else the channel might bring to us in this crazy new year of 2022. Thanks so much for joining us. Have a wonderful day.